Good morning or good afternoon, baseball fans. Big Al here on this Monday, August 14th, 2023. And this is the first of two videos that I will be doing today. Later on, we'll be taking a look at the new AP college football preseason poll, which was just released about 2 hours ago, or not even 2 hours ago, but we'll be taking a look at that in a separate video. As for this one, we'll be taking a look at the current Major League Baseball standings and the playoff races through Sunday. We'll recap every game from Sunday's action. We'll run down all the scores from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we'll take a look at the first 4 days of this week across the bigs. So if you like informative videos like this, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. And without further ado, let's jump right in to the weekend wrap-up or the weekend recap across Major League Baseball. And we're starting with the Friday games first. All right, the New York Yankees defeated the Miami Marlins 9-4. Vasquez over Lazardo. Vasquez wins is 2-1. Lazardo is 8-7. It was the Tampa Bay Rays holding off the Cleveland Guardians 9-8. Stephenson wins for Tampa Bay 2-4. Sandlin loses for Cleveland 5-5. The Nationals rock the A's 8-2. Abbott wins for Washington. He's now 1-1. Blackburn takes the loss for Oakland. His record drops to 2-3. Phillies obliterate the Twins 13-2. Sanchez wins for Philadelphia 1-3. And the loss goes to Dallas Keuchel for the Minnesota Twins 0-1. Reds 9, Pirates 2. Abbott wins for Cincinnati 7-3. Oviedo loses for Pittsburgh 6-12. It was the Cubs 6, the Blue Jays 2. Assad wins for Chicago 2-2. Barrios takes the loss. He's 9-8 for Toronto. It was the Red Sox over the Tigers 5-2. Barraclough wins for Boston 1-0. Skubal takes the loss for Detroit 2-2. Murphy with save number 1. The Braves shut down the Mets 7-0. Charlie Morton wins for Atlanta 11-0. Miguel takes the loss for New York 6-6. Royals outlasted the Cardinals 12-8. Zerpa wins for Kansas City 1-1. And yet another loss for Adam Wainwright. He's now 3-7 for the St. Louis Cardinals. Astros drum the Angels 11-3. Justin Verlander wins for Houston. He's 7-6. Detmers takes the loss for the Angels 2-9. It was the Brewers in 10 innings getting past the White Sox 7-6. Williams wins for Milwaukee 7-3. Lambert takes the loss for Chicago 2-2. Uribe with his first save of the year. The Padres doubled up the Diamondbacks 10-5. Blake Snell wins, goes to 9-8 for San Diego. Nelson takes the loss for Arizona 6-7. Dodgers 6, Rockies 1. Lance Lynn wins for the Dodgers 9-9. Gomber takes the loss. His record is also 9-9. Mariners obliterate the Orioles 9-2. Castillo wins for Seattle 8-7. Gibson loses for Baltimore 11-7. And the Rangers doubled up the Giants 2-1. Gray wins for Texas 8-5. Ross Stripling 0-5 for the San Francisco Giants after this loss. And Smith with save number 22. Moving on to Saturday, where the Atlanta Braves annihilated the New York Mets 21-3. It's like the Falcons beating the Giants, if you will. Winans wins for Atlanta 1-0. Reyes, the losing pitcher for New York, 0-2. It was the Cubs 5 and the Blue Jays 4. Merriweather wins for Chicago 4-0. Hicks takes the loss for Toronto 1-7. Alzole with his 16th save. It was the Tigers over the Red Sox 6-2. Manning wins for Detroit 4-4. Bello takes the loss for Boston 8-7. Foley with his 5th save. Yankees fall to the Marlins 3-1. Alcantara wins for Miami 5-10. King takes the loss for the New York Yankees 3-5. Rays edged out the Guardians 6-5. Fleming wins for Tampa 2-0. Clase takes the loss for Cleveland. He's now 1-7. Turnaround was a fair play for the Minnesota Twins as they were blown out on Friday night. They turned the tables on Saturday and beat down the Phillies 8-1 on Saturday. Lopez wins for Minnesota 8-6. Taijuan Walker will have to wait for his 14th win, at least until his next start. He's now 13-5. Nationals slip past the A's 3-2. Finnegan wins for Washington. He's 6-3. Urseg loses for Oakland 2-3. The Cardinals completed a split of the Shimmy series with the Royals winning 5-4 on Saturday. Steven Matz wins for St. Louis. He's 4-7. Reagans takes the loss for Kansas City 3-4. Romero saved number 2. Astros beat up the Angels for the second straight night 11-3. Francis the winning pitcher for Houston 9-3. Anderson takes the loss 5-4 for the Angels. It was the Brewers edging out the White Sox again. No extras needed. 3-2 is the final. Woodruff wins for Milwaukee 2-1. Schultens loses for Chicago 1-5. Williams would save number 28. Oh, it looks like the Braves and Mets played was that 21-3 score. Game 2 was also a win for the Braves, 6-0. Strider wins for Atlanta, 13-4. Quintana takes the loss for the Mets, 0-4. Diamondbacks shut out the Padres 3-0 in that 9-game losing streak. Zach Gallen wins for Arizona, 12-5. Rich held the loser for San Diego, 7-12. Sewell would save number 22. Rangers hammer the Giants 9-3. Anderson wins for Texas 2-1. Alex Cobb, the loser for San Francisco, 6-4. It was the Dodgers over the Rockies 4-1. Gonsolin wins for LA 8-4. Lambert, the loser for Colorado, 2-4. Phillips saved number 17. And it was the Baltimore Orioles scoring the lone run of the game in the 10th inning to beat the Mariners 1-0. Bautista wins for Baltimore 7-2. Munoz takes the loss for Seattle. His record is now 2-5. The Reds and Pirates were rained out in Pittsburgh on Saturday, so they would play a doubleheader on Sunday. And I'll tell you about both games during our Sunday recap, where the Red Sox beat the Tigers 6-3. Whitlock wins for Boston 5-3. Rodriguez takes the loss for Detroit 8-6. And Jansen would save number 27. Nationals edge out the A's 8-7. In fact, they rallied in the 9th inning from a 7-3 deficit and scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th to pull out the win. La Sorsa wins for Washington 1-0. Snead takes the loss for Oakland 1-1. And how about this? The Twins actually win the series against the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park as Minnesota shuts out Philly 3-0. Sonny Gray wins for the Twins. He's 6-5. The loss goes to Ranger Suarez 2-6. Duran saved number 21. In game 1 of their doubleheader on Sunday, the Pirates doubled up the Reds 4-2. Perdomo wins for Pittsburgh 3-2. Young takes the loss 4-1. Bednar saved number 24. Blue Jays avoid the sweep, blowing out the Cubs 11-4. Hyun Jin Ryu wins for Toronto 1-1. Talion takes the loss for the Cubs 7-7. Marlins 8, Yankees 7. Lopez wins for Miami 6-2. And Holmes takes the loss for the New York Yankees 4-3. Okay, so this was the other game on Sunday where the home team rallied from 4 runs or more down in the 9th inning. Now, I read this stat on CBS Sports HQ. Previously to Sunday, teams that trailed by 4 or more runs entering the 9th inning had a pretty bad record. Out of 762 games, they've lost 759 of them. This marks the first time since July 9th, 2010, where you had 2 games with teams rallying from 4 runs back to win on the same day. And for the New York Yankees, it is their 19th walk-off loss dating back to the start of 2022. So a little bit of numbers there. Guardians bomb the Rays 9-2. Bibby wins for Cleveland 9-2. Eflin takes the loss for Tampa Bay 12-7. Angels avoid the sweep in Houston, beating the Astros 2-1. Seth wins for the Angels 4-1. Urquidy loses for Houston 2-3. Estevez save number 25. Brewers complete the sweep of the White Sox on the south side, winning 7-3. Peralta beats Cease in this one. Peralta is 9-8 for the Brewers. Dylan Cease is now 5-6 for the Chicago White Sox. The San Francisco Giants avoided a sweep at the hands of the Rangers, beating Texas in 10-3-2. Duvall wins for San Francisco 4-3. Smith takes the loss for Texas 1-4. Dodgers sweep the Rockies in a 4-game set, winning 8-3 in the finale. Urias wins for LA 10-6. The loss goes to Kyle Freeland 4-13. All right, the Diamondbacks make it 2 out of 3 against the Padres after that 9-game losing streak, as Arizona wins 5-4. Nelson is the winning pitcher for the Diamondbacks, 6-3. Suarez takes the loss for San Diego, 1-2. And then Sewell with his second save in as many games, or his second save in 3 games, and 23 on the season. In 10, it was the Orioles over the Mariners 5-3. Vespi wins for Baltimore 1-0. Thornton takes the loss for Seattle 0-1. Fujinami with his first save for the Orioles. The Reds salvaged a split of their doubleheader with the Pirates as they beat Pittsburgh in 10, 6-5. Diaz wins 4-4 for Cincinnati. Beto loses for the Pirates 2-3. Duarte his first save. And on Sunday Night Baseball, it was the Mets defeating the Braves 7-6. Senga is the winning pitcher for New York, 9-6. Chirinos loses for Atlanta 5-5. And Ottavino was save number 7. We'll take a look at what's ahead over the next few days across the majors in just a moment. But first, let's dive into the Major League Baseball standings and the playoff races. And we'll start with our standings check. In the American League East, it's the Baltimore Orioles at 73-45, 7-3 in their last 10 games, including 2 straight wins. In second place, the Tampa Bay Rays, 71-49, 3 games behind Baltimore, 5-5 in their last 10, including a loss in their last game. Third place are the Toronto Blue Jays, 66-54, 8 games out behind the Orioles, 6-4 in their last 10, including a win in their last game. In fourth place, the Boston Red Sox, 62-56, 11 games out of first place, 5-5 in their last 10, including a win in their last game. Last place is the New York Yankees, 60-58, 13 games out, 4-6 in their last 10, including 2 straight losses. Over in the American League Central, led by the Minnesota Twins at 62-58, 6-4 in their last 10, including 2 straight wins. In second place, the Cleveland Guardians, 57-62, 4.5 games out behind the Twins, 4-6 in their last 10, including a win in their last game. Third place are the Detroit Tigers, 53-65, 8 games behind Minnesota, 5-5 in their last 10, including a loss in their last game. Fourth place are the Chicago White Sox, 47-72, 14.5 games behind the Twins, 4-6 in their last 10, including 3 straight losses, all to the Brewers. Fifth place, the Kansas City Royals, 38-81, 23.5 games behind the Twins, 4-6 in their last 10, including a loss in their last game. And not much change at the top of the American League West, where the Texas Rangers continue to lead at 70-48, 8-2 in their last 10, including a loss in their last game. Hanging tough in second place, the Houston Astros at 68-51, 2.5 games out behind Texas, 6-4 in their last 10, including a loss in their last game. In third, the Seattle Mariners, 63-54, 6.5 games out behind the Rangers, 8-2 in their last 10 games, including back-to-back losses. Fourth place, the LA Angels, 59-60, 11.5 games behind, 3-7 in their last 10, including a win in their most recent game. And in last place, the Oakland A's with the worst record in baseball at 33-85, 37 games behind Texas, 3-7 in their last 10, including 3 straight losses. Over to the National League East, you've got the Atlanta Braves with baseball's best record, 75-42, 5-5 in their last 10 games, including a loss in their most recent game. Man, I gotta stop yawning. A very distant second place are the Philadelphia Phillies, 65-54, 11.5, or rather 11 full games behind the Braves. 6-4 in their last 10, including 2 straight losses. In third place, the Miami Marlins, 62-57, 14 behind the Braves, 4-6 in their last 10, including 2 straight wins. Fourth place are the New York Mets, 53-65, 22.5 games behind the Braves, 3-7 in their last 10, including a win in their last game. And in fifth place, the Washington Nationals, 53-66, 23 games behind Atlanta, 7-3 in their last 10, so they're playing a lot better. And they've also won 3 in a row. Over in the National League Central, you've got the Milwaukee Brewers leading things at 65-54, 7-3 in their last 10 games, including 4 straight wins. Next is the Cincinnati Reds and the Chicago Cubs, both in a virtual tie for second place. Cincinnati is 62-58, 3-7 in their last 10 games, including a win in their last game. The Cubs, meanwhile, are 61-57, 6-4 over their last 10, including a loss in their last game, and both trail the Brewers by 3.5 games. Fourth place are the Pittsburgh Pirates, 53-65, 11.5 games behind Milwaukee, 5-5 in their last 10, including a loss in their most recent game. And in last place are the St. Louis Cardinals, 52-66, 12.5 games behind the Brewers, 5-5 in their last 10, including a win in their last game. Finally, on the National League West, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers at 71-46, 9-1 in their last 10 games, and they are now the hottest team in baseball, winners of 8 straight. Second place, very distantly, are the San Francisco Giants, 63-55, 8.5 games behind the arch rival Dodgers, 4-6 in their last 10, including a win in their last game. And they needed that to avoid being swept at home by the Rangers. In third place, the coldest team in baseball over the past, month. Looks like they're starting to get their ways, bring their ways out of it, is the Arizona Diamondbacks. Back with a 500 record at 59-59. 12.5 games behind the Dodgers, so you can pretty much kiss their chances at a division title goodbye at this point. 2-8 in their last 10 games, including 2 straight wins. Fourth place are the San Diego Padres. This is the team the Diamondbacks just got finished playing. 56-62, 15.5 games out of first, 3-7 in their last 10, including 2 straight losses. And sitting last in the West, the Colorado Rockies. 45-73, 26.5 games behind the Dodgers, 3-7 in their last 10 games, including 5 straight losses. All right. Now we're going to look at the playoff races. Based on record, your American League division leaders would be Baltimore in the East, that's 73-45, that's the number 1 seed. Texas in the West with a 70-48 record and the number 2 seed. And Minnesota in the Central at 62-58 and the number 3 seed. As far as division leaders in the National League, number 1 is the Atlanta Braves in the East at 75-42. The 2 seed would go to the Los Angeles Dodgers, leaders of the West, at 71-46. And the 3 spot would go to the Milwaukee Brewers atop the Central Division at 65-54. Down to the American League wild card race. All right, Tampa Bay at 71-49 pretty much has a stranglehold on that top wild card spot in the American League, with the Houston Astros in the number 2 spot at 68-51, and the Toronto Blue Jays holding that third and final wild card at 66-54. Seattle is only a game and a half out at 63-54, followed by the Boston Red Sox 62-56 and 3 games back. The New York Yankees 60-58 and 5 games back. Next up is the Los Angeles Angels 59-60 and 6.5 games back. The Cleveland Guardians 57-62, 8.5 games back. The Detroit Tigers at 53-65 sit 12 games back. Then you've got the Chicago White Sox at 47-72, 18.5 games back. Then you got the bottom 2, beginning with the Kansas City Royals at 38-81, 27.5 games back. And the Oakland A's at 33-85 and a whopping 32 games back. As far as the National League wildcard race, the Philadelphia Phillies are the top wildcard at 65-54, followed by the San Francisco Giants in the 2 spot at 63-55, and Miami, the Marlins at 62-57, would hold the third and final wildcard spot. The Cincinnati Reds at 62-58 and the Chicago Cubs at 61-57 are both a half game behind Miami for that last wildcard spot. Arizona, back at 500 at 59-59, is 2.5 games out. Then it's the San Diego Padres at 56-62, 5.5 games out. Both the New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates at 53-65 sit 8.5 games out behind the Marlins. Then you've got the Washington Nationals at 53-66 and only 9 games out. The St. Louis Cardinals are 9.5 games out at 52-66. And at the bottom, the Colorado Rockies, 45-73 and 16 and a half games out of the last wild card spot in the National League, presently owned by Miami. Okay, so what's coming up in the days to come in baseball? Let's start off with today's action. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, there are 9 games on the schedule on this Monday. And we're starting off with the Houston Astros at the Miami Marlins at 6:40 Eastern Time from Lone Depot Park in Miami. And tonight's pitching matchup is lefty versus lefty as Framber Valdez for the Astros goes up against Paxton Garrett for the Marlins. And that's at 6:40 Eastern Time. Half hour after that, at 7:10 Eastern Time, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates at the New York Mets. Quinn Priester, right-hander for Pittsburgh, will start against Carlos Carrasco, right-hander for the New York Mets. And that's at 7:10 Eastern from Citi Field in Queens, New York. So after the Braves played the Mets over the weekend, they turn home to play New York's other team, the New York Yankees. All right, it will be Clark Schmidt, right-hander, starting for the Yankees, versus Max Fried, left-hander for the Braves. This is at 7:20 Eastern Time from Truist Park in Atlanta. At 7:45 Eastern Time, it's the Oaks at the St. Louis Cardinals. Left-hander J.P. Sears will go for Oakland. Miles Mikolas, right-hander, will start for the Cardinals. And this is at 7:45 Eastern Time from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. 20 minutes after that, at 8:05 Eastern Time, it's the Los Angeles Angels at the Texas Rangers. It is left-hander Patrick Sandoval pitching for the Angels against Ranger right-hander Max Scherzer. This is at 8:05 Eastern Time from Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. Five minutes after that, at 8 Eastern Time from Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, it's the Royals hosting the Seattle Mariners. And it's right-hander versus right-hander as your pitching matchup for this one. Logan Gilbert is the projected starter for Seattle. Brady Singer for Kansas City. At 8:40 Eastern Time from Coors Field in Denver, it's the Arizona Diamondbacks at the Colorado Rockies. Merrill Kelly, right-hander, is the starter for the visiting Diamondbacks, while Chris Flexen, right-hander, is the starter for the host Colorado Rockies. An hour later, at 9:40 Eastern Time, it's the Baltimore Orioles at the San Diego Padres. Projected starters are Grayson Rodriguez for the Orioles and Yu Darvish for the Padres, and both are right-handed pitchers, and that game starts at 9:40 Eastern Time from Petco Park in San Diego. Final game of the night is at 9:45 Eastern Time from Oracle Park in San Francisco, as the San Francisco Giants welcome in the Tampa Bay Rays. Tyler Glasnow, right-hander, is the starter for Tampa. Ryan Walker, another right-hander, will start for the Giants. And again, that's at 9:45 Eastern Time from Oracle Park. Jumping to the Tuesday schedule, you got the Battle of Ohio kicking things off as the Cleveland Guardians battle the Cincinnati Reds. And the pitching matchup tomorrow will be left-hander Logan Allen for Cleveland and right-hander Graham Ashcroft or Graham Ashcraft, rather, for the Reds. And that's at 6:40 Eastern from Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Also at 6:40 is Game 2 between the Astros and Marlins. It'll be Christian Javier, right-hander for Houston, going up against Johnny Cueto, right-hander veteran for Miami. All right. Then at 7:05 Eastern Time, the Boston Red Sox visit the nation's capital to face the Washington Nationals. The pitching matchup is right-hander Nick Pivetta for Boston versus right-hander Josiah Gray for Washington. And that's at 7:05 Eastern tomorrow night from Nationals Park. At 7:07 Eastern Time on Tuesday, it's the Philadelphia Phillies at the Toronto Blue Jays. This is a pretty big series. Right-hander Zach Wheeler will pitch for Philadelphia, and left-handed pitcher Yusei Kikuchi is on the bump for Toronto. And that's 7:07 Eastern Time from the Rogers Center. Tomorrow night at 7:10, it's Game 2 between the Pirates and Mets. It's lefty versus lefty in your pitching matchup on Tuesday, as Bailey Falter will go up against David Peterson. Falter is the projected starter for the Pirates, Peterson for the New York Mets. And that's at 7:10 Eastern from City. At 7:20 Eastern Time, it's the New York Yankees at the Atlanta Braves. Game 2 of that interleague series. Righty versus righty is the pitching matchup as New York sends Luis Severino to the mound to face Atlanta right-hander Bryce Elder. How about Luis Severino with an ERA over 8? Ouch. At 7:40 Eastern Time from Target Field in Minneapolis, it's the Minnesota Twins hosting the Detroit Lions, or rather the Detroit Tigers, in the opener of their series. Right-hander Alex Faedo is the starter for Detroit. Bailey Ober is the starter for the host Twins. Five minutes after that, at 7:45 Eastern Time, it's the Oakland A's at the St. Louis Cardinals. Game 2 of that series. Freddie Tamuk is the starter for Oakland. He's a right-hander, as is St. Louis starter Dakota Hudson. And that's at 7:45 Eastern on Tuesday from Busch Stadium. At 8:05 Eastern Time, you've got the Battle of Chicago as the White Sox battle the Cubs. Touki Toussaint, right-hander, is the starter for the White Sox. Kyle Hendricks, right-hander, is the starter for the Cubs. The All-Chicago series begins tomorrow at 8:05 Eastern from Wrigley Field. Also between the LA Angels and the Texas Rangers from Globe Life Field. Lucas Giolito, right-hander, is the starter for the Angels. Jordan Montgomery, left-hander, is the starter for Texas. At 8:10 Eastern Time, from the Big K, Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, it's the Royals hosting the Seattle Mariners. Emerson Hancock is the projected starter for Seattle. He's a right-hander, as is Kansas City's Jordan Lyles. And that's at 8:10 Eastern Time from Kauffman. Okay. At 8:40 Eastern Time, it's Game 2 between the Diamondbacks and Rockies. No starter has been named for Arizona. Colorado will send Ty Blatch, left-hander, to the hill. And that's at 8:40 Eastern on Tuesday from Coors Field. At 9:40 Eastern Time, out at Petco Park, it's Game 2 between the Orioles and Padres. And it's righty versus righty. Jack Flaherty is the projected starter for the Orioles, and Michael Wacha is the projected starter for San Diego. At 9:45 Eastern Time, it's game two between the Rays and the Giants. Zach Littell is the starting pitcher for Tampa Bay. He's a right-hander. The Giants have yet to announce a starter for Tuesday. And the last game of the night out at Dodger Stadium at 10:10 Eastern Time, it's the Milwaukee Brewers and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Left-hander Wade Miley is the projected starter for Milwaukee. Right-hander Bobby Miller, the projected starter for the Dodgers. Okay, so that is the Tuesday schedule. Let's jump ahead to Wednesday. That would be the 16th of August. All right, the first two games of the schedule begin at 1:10 p.m. Eastern Time, beginning with the Tigers and Twins. It will be right-handers Reese Olson for Detroit and Kenta Maeda for the Twins. At that same time at Citi Field, it's the Pirates and Mets. And that will be Johan Oviedo for Pittsburgh, right-hander, versus Taylor Miguel for the Mets, another right-hander. All right. Then at 3:10 Eastern Time, it's not the Dodgers, but rather the Diamondbacks at the Rockies. And no projected starter has been named for Arizona for Wednesday either. The Rockies will send left-hander Austin Gomber to the hill. And that's at 3:10 Eastern Time. Then at 3:45 Eastern Time, it's the Tampa Bay Rays at the San Francisco Giants. Tampa Bay will send right-hander Aaron Savali to the plate. The Giants have not announced a starter for Wednesday. And that's at 3:45 Eastern Time. The rest of Wednesday's game are at night. At 6:40 Eastern Time, it's the Reds hosting the Guardians. It's Thor, a.k.a. Noah Syndergaard, right-hander on the hill for Cleveland, versus Cincinnati lefty Andrew Abbott. Also at 6:40, it's the Astros at the Marlins. Justin Verlander, right-hander, is the projected starter for Houston. Jesus Luzardo, left-hander, is the starter for the Marlins. And that's at 6:40 Eastern Time on Wednesday. I don't know why this thing keeps going back up to the top, forcing me to scroll down. At 6:45 Eastern, it's the finale between the A's and Cardinals. Right-hander Paul Blackburn is the starter for Oakland. Left-hander Matthew Liberatore is the starter for St. Louis. Here we go. There you've got the Red Sox and Nationals, and that's 7:05 Eastern Time on Wednesday. And it's lefty versus lefty. James Paxton for Boston, Mackenzie Gore for Washington. Then at 7:07 Eastern Time, it's the Phillies and the Blue Jays. And this matchup is righty versus righty, as Philadelphia will send Aaron Nola, Toronto will send Kevin Gausman. At 7:20 Eastern Time, it's the Yankees at the Braves. And again, it's righty versus righty. The Yankees will send Randy Velasquez. The Braves will send Charlie Morton. Excuse me. And then the Battle of Chicago continues on Wednesday night at 8:05 Eastern Time at the Cubs host the White Sox. And once again, we got another righty versus righty matchup on our hands, as Mike Clevinger will go for the White Sox and Javier Assad will pitch for the Cubs. All right. Also at 8:05 Eastern Time, Angels and Rangers. Left-hander Reed Detmers will start for LA, and right-hander John Gray for Texas. At 8:10 Eastern Time, it's the Mariners at the Royals, and another righty versus righty pitching matchup. Luis Castillo for Seattle and Alec Marsh for Kansas City. At 8:40 Eastern Time, it's the Orioles at the Padres. Right-hander Dean Kramer is the starter for Baltimore, and left-hander Blake Snell will pitch for San Diego. Final game of the night is at 10:10 Eastern Time. It's the Brewers at the Dodgers. And it's right-hander Adrian Hauser for Milwaukee versus left-hander Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers. And that brings us to Thursday, August 17th. There are only 6 games on the schedule for Thursday. It all begins at 2:10 p.m. Eastern Time with the Seattle Mariners and Kansas City Royals concluding their series. It'll be right-hander George Kirby for Seattle versus Royals left-hander Angel Zerpa. It's either Angel or Angel. I'll have to listen to the exact pronunciation. At 4:05 Eastern Time, it's the series finale between the Red Sox and Nationals, and it's lefty versus lefty. Boston will send their southpaw Chris Sale, while Washington sends their left-hander Patrick Corbin. All right. At 7:15 Eastern Time, it's the first of a 4-game weekend set between the Detroit Tigers and Cleveland Guardians. It'll be left-hander Tariq Skubal for Detroit versus right-hander Xavier Curry for Cleveland. Also at 7:15 p.m. is the start of another 4-game weekend set as the New York Mets visit the St. Louis Cardinals. In Thursday's series opener, it will be left-hander Jose Quintana for the Mets versus right-hander Adam Wainwright for the Cardinals. At 9:40 time, the Diamondbacks and Padres will play another weekend series, this time in San Diego. In game 1 of this 4-game divisional set, Arizona will send right-hander Zach Gallen up against San Diego lefty Rich Hill. And that's at 9:40 Eastern Time. Last game of the night on Thursday is at 10:10 Eastern Time. It's the Brewers and Dodgers, the finale of that series. And it's both right-handed pitchers. Corbin Burns for the Brew Crew, Lance Lynn for the Dodgers. And those are your updated Major League Baseball standings and playoff races through Sunday. Plus, we recapped every game over the weekend in the majors and looked ahead to the next 4 days across baseball. All right. I got a little bit of work to do here drawing in this AP preseason poll. So I will get on that and then we will record that video shortly thereafter. And we'll be back on Friday with another MLB standings check and a look at the playoff races. So join me Friday for that. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching and enjoy the baseball action this week. Peace out.